have faith is to have positive confidence or trust in something, is to believe that something is true, even without proof. But then the question stands, how does one have confidence or trust in something without the evidence to back up that confidence and trust? The famous philosopher Bertrand Russell once said, "Where there is evidence, no one speaks of faith. We do not speak of faith that 2 and 2 are 4, or that the earth is round. We only speak of faith when we wish to substitute emotion for evidence." Unfortunately for Bertrand Russell, he forgot a little something. The reality is, somebody had to go on faith that the earth was round before there was proof or evidence to back up that idea. And there is no way to scientifically prove yet that emotion is not proof. Every single thing in existence begins as a thought first. When that thought is thought enough, it becomes a belief. Proof is the manifestation of a thought that you think often enough that it becomes part of your physical reality. You look at that physical manifestation, and it reinforces the thought, so that now you have confidence in the truth and validity of that thought. Having confidence in the truth and validity of a thought based on manifested proof is called a belief. Faith is the step or bridge between thinking and believing. It is the confidence in the truth or validity of something positive before the proof has manifested physically. The person who does not value faith values the idea that there is an external world that exists separate from us, that we merely interact with and observe this world. This is not a person who believes that thought creates reality. This is a person who belongs to the religion called science. Science does not yet recognize the observer as the creator of what is observed. Fortunately for us, science is a religion that is always evolving. Notice how in the previous paragraph I not once said that faith was knowing before the evidence presented itself. Faith in our modern society is synonymous with ignorance because so often faith is used by individuals to establish a sense of certainty and cognitive closure. It is the excuse people use to make a claim of the certainty of truth, which closes them down to all of the possibilities. In other words, it is pretending to know something that they do not know. A good example is heaven. Most people have never seen heaven for themselves. They have no proof other than the promise of the words belonging to other people to back up the belief that heaven is real. Either the words of their parents, or the promise of the bishop, or the promise of the priest. And so, most people do not actually believe heaven exists or know that it exists, even though they may say they do. Instead, people have faith that heaven exists. They mistake faith for knowing. And by closing their minds down around the truth of knowing, they become unable to experience other potentials and other realities. They become selectively ignorant. To close one's own perspective down to possibilities and to latch on to the knowing of one specific truth is to live in a state of ignorance. To have faith is to have confidence in or trust in, but to not know. People only confuse faith for knowing. This is the shadow side of faith, and it presents a problem. Often when we observe people who have faith, we are jealous of that faith. We are jealous of their certainty. We're jealous of their ability to create cognitive closure. But we don't understand that we are mistaking their faith for their false knowing. The only certainty in this life is uncertainty. And the highest of objective truths is that truth is subjective. Faith becomes ignorance when faith becomes proof of knowing. To have confidence in something or to hope for something is not to know something. Instead, it is a kind of living bravery. It is the bravery to walk open-armed into the world of the unknown, only with your emotions leading the way. Emotion is like a tether between your soul and your physical life. He who has faith is brave enough to follow that tether into the unknown. Faith can only happen in the absence of knowing. Not one scientific discovery began without a scientist first having faith. After all, he did not yet know. After all, he did not yet have the proof he needed to be sure. The scientist does not yet recognize his inner urgings and hunches as emotion, intuition, and ultimately as faith, but that is exactly what they are. Many critics of faith claim that faith is only used in the absence of good supporting evidence, and that is true, because if faith had good supporting evidence, it would no longer be faith. Instead, it would be a belief that you would call a truth or something that you know. But faith is a bridge between thinking and knowing. Faith should never close a person down to possibilities. Faith should never be confused with knowing. Most of what a spiritual person is a person who is full of faith. It is a person who is willing to live with confidence and hope in a universe of unknown. Therefore, to have faith is to be brave. Many people think that faith is the absence of doubt. This couldn't be further from the truth. We only think that faith is the absence of doubt when we confuse faith with knowing. To doubt is to have uncertainty about something. Faith cannot exist in a universe of certainty. Certainty is knowing. Faith is not required when we know. And so if doubt is uncertainty, doubt is a necessary condition of faith. If we take doubt a step further and let it mean what it means emotionally to most people, to doubt is to consider something unlikely. To consider something unlikely is to act as if you know. It is to pretend you know something that you do not know. It is to bring certainty to uncertainty. This is why it can easily be said that doubt is actually the flip side of faith. Another way to look at this is, doubt is just another kind of faith. People use doubt to gain certainty and cognitive closure in the same way that they use faith as a replacement for certainty and cognitive closure. If you are a person who doubts, you have a great capacity for faith. The only difference between you and a person who is full of faith is that you have endless confidence and trust for negative instead of positive outcomes and things. Like faith, doubt is a bridge between thinking and believing. It is best to burn this bridge down. It is best to only build the bridge of doubt between thoughts that feel bad to think and things you don't want to believe. It is best to build the bridge of faith between thoughts that feel good and things you want to believe. When we begin to experience pain is when we build the bridge of doubt between thoughts that feel good to think and things we want to believe. So the question stands, how can we manifest without faith? To manifest without faith, or if you're a doubtful person, all you need to do is to become okay with uncertainty, is to pull your teeth out of the idea of truth, and to move instead into the space of curiosity. Curiosity is a state of not knowing. In reality, no one knows what reality is. To commit to curiosity is to release resistance to the painful things we have confidence in or that we think we know. And so, when we do manifestation exercises or look for proof for something we want to believe, we do so without an attachment to whether it is true or not. This is a state that true scientists can teach us to uphold. It is to take on an attitude of wouldn't it be nice if, or maybe. If you visualize what you want, make it a game instead of a matter of life and death. Do the visualizations out of curiosity about the potential that mind could create reality. Remain open to all possibilities, instead of expecting yourself to believe. Also, allow yourself to prove things to yourself. Quit thinking that you should have the same faith as somebody else, and that you should know. There's no earthly reason why you should know, or why you should have faith, given your life experiences. In fact, the main reason that the idea of not being able to feel faith hurts us is because we think we should have faith. Why should we have faith when we have come to expect negative outcomes? We, after all, have learned that that only ends in disappointment. For this reason, I suggest that anybody who has a difficult time with faith watches the video which I created on YouTube about disappointment. They go hand in hand. He who lacks faith has been victimized, and thus sees himself as a victim, sees himself at the mercy of external circumstances. The person who lacks faith has lacked trust in the world, and he who lacks trust in the world lacks trust in himself. Faith is corrupted in the human system when we do not trust ourselves. Ultimately, we recognize that the world at large is a reflection of us, so if we do not have confidence in or trust anything out there, there is something inside us that we do not trust. And if we're experiencing something negative, there is something in our Creator nature that we do not trust. We need to figure out what it is about ourselves that we do not trust, because we need to learn to trust ourselves again. Faith is the organic result of trusting ourselves. Confidence and trust is a natural byproduct of trusting ourselves to create positive outcomes. No one on earth can fake faith, but deep down inside all of us, at some level, we have an acknowledgement and a recognition of the true eternal creator nature of our being. And therefore, somewhere deep inside of us, there is a buried faith. A buried faith not only in the world, but also a buried faith for ourselves. Have a good week.